Ben, thank you for joining me to discuss the data center skill shortage. I'm delighted to have you join me today. So, would you mind just kicking things off by introducing yourself, please?
Not at all. It's good to be here. Yeah, I'm Ben Cranham and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Pulsant.
Thank you. So, start us off by giving us a bit of an idea about how you would define the current data center skills gap and which roles in particular you think are lacking.
Yeah, so I think the skills gap is a long-standing conversation, a long-standing issue, and I'm not sure it's one that's got any easier in the last few years. I think there have been challenges across operational and technical roles. I think everybody's aware of the challenges around mechanical and electrical engineering. I think for Pulsant as a national provider working across a range of regional job markets, it's really important that we've got a compelling offer. And that's not just in terms of remuneration, but making sure that the development offering, how we train our people, the culture of people coming into the organisation is right. I mean, we've got a brilliant talent team at Pulsant who manage the whole life cycle of people coming into the organisation. So actually that's helped us even in regions where the job market might be more challenging to do the recruitment that we need to do. I think we have also seen challenges around senior level roles that require experience, but also an understanding of the regulatory environment. I think that's the price of growth in our sector is the industry as a whole is not refreshing that skill set as quickly as the market's demanding it. And again, the way that we have solved for that is to make sure that we've got development paths for people moving up from the entry level roles in our organisation into those more mid and senior roles. I think the other thing in the market in the last few years is newly emerging specializations, whether that's around particular technologies or around specific priorities, like things like sustainability, for example. So I think, again, data centers today are looking for a wider range of specialist skills, both in terms of technical skills and operational skills than they were historically.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously, you did touch on some of the challenges there that you faced and how you've overcome
Yeah.
those. But I wondered, what are some of the specific challenges that you've experienced when attracting and also retaining staff, and how have you overcome these? Because I think that retaining is quite a significant part of this.
Yeah, I think in terms of recruitment, in terms of people at the start of their career, is competition from adjacent sectors that in the technology space that probably get a bit more airtime and the places that people as they're going through education think about where they want to make their career. So you think of kind of coding, software development, cybersecurity. Being able to talk about AI and talk about the cloud helps, but it's definitely an area where we face competition in terms of recruiting into our organisation. I think in terms of retention, and Pulsant's had a really good record in terms of retaining people over a long period of time. Retention suffers when career paths feel static. So again, growth helps with that. As we've opened more locations and grown our locations, that's given us the opportunity to develop people. Again, our talent team works with our data center leadership team to make sure we've got clear development frameworks, that we do work around cross-skilling, that we invest in our leadership at all levels. So last year, as an example, we appointed 3 new data center managers as homegrown talent, people who've been in the business, working in engineering roles and so on. So I think that's the key to retention, is making sure that you've got career opportunities and development opportunities for people.
A really good point. So how significant do you think development programs are, such as apprenticeships, in helping to close the gap?
I've just come from lunch with 2 of our new apprentice intake for this year, Jess and Karma. So I've just been talking to them. They've been in the business 9 days. They're very excited and energized about it. And it's great bringing talent like that into the organisation. It's critical for us. It allows us to train and develop people in the Pulsant way. So we build loyalty early on. It diversifies the pipeline of talent that we're bringing into the organisation. I think for us, the ability to be able to combine that with mentoring from more experienced members of the team and structured learning means that those individuals are quickly able to add value into the teams that they're coming into, but also gives them the space then to start to think about what the next steps are and how they want to develop their career in data centers.
Yeah, I also think it's kind of really respectable that you, as a C-level person at the company, are interacting with these apprentices and are having, kind of building that relationship. Because I don't think that that's something that, it might, well, that's something that probably surprises quite a lot of people, that you you do that at such a, high level, that you're having those, lunch meetings and
Yeah.
that sort of thing with the apprentices. I think that's really
I,
commendable.
I would highly recommend it to anybody. I mean, both in terms of our graduates or in terms of our apprentices. I come away with a lot of energy. I come away with a lot of ideas. And so, I would highly recommend it to anybody who's got one of those early career programs in the organisation. I mean, our executive team, whenever they're in any of our sites, make the time to do that. And I think that really helps.
Yeah, definitely. And you also see it must be quite valuable in terms of, getting a new perspective on the company and what it's like to step into the company that you've probably been at for so long. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that in itself is valuable. So how can the industry do more as a collective, do you think, to promote career opportunities and entice school leavers and graduates?
Yeah, I mean it's difficult because, as I said before, with a compelling offer, which I think we've got, and the sort of structured talent development program that we've got, we could just do what some people in our industry do, which is just kind of take talent from other providers. But if the whole industry tries to do that, then we really are in trouble, because we are a growing market and we do have a number of people leaving the industry every year as they sort of move up towards retirement. So we do need to do that. I think I would love to see us as an industry doing some kind of unified campaign to raise the profile of the data center industry, to talk about the stories of careers that are built in data centers and the positive benefits that people can make by being part of the data center industry. I think, again, one of the things that we have done, which has served us in terms of our early career program, is really building partnerships with education. But I think you can go further than that, and I think strengthening partnerships into schools, doing that kind of work as an industry, again, to be able to invest in building that knowledge and understanding of our industry early on would make a big difference. And it is about making a commitment to focusing on developing new talent rather than just recycling the talent that already exists in the industry.
Yeah, it's a really valid point. And obviously, we did the round table to discuss this
Yeah,
on a kind of wider spectrum a couple of weeks ago. And
yeah,
somebody did mention about going into schools and, building that talent pipeline from the school and education level. And I think a lot of the time it's more about the awareness, as you mentioned. People don't know about the data center industry and they don't realize that we rely on data centers every day, and they don't
yeah,
know also how to kind of make that transition from the education level and into roles and what the roles are. So that awareness piece is so important, and
yeah.
going into and just taking the time to build those relationships as you've done today, and to go into schools as well, I think is just so crucial for the development of the industry. But
I,
it's
I, Sorry, I was going to say, I think that's right. After we'd had that conversation, as met data center managers in the sort of days and weeks following, I've asked them the question: how many primary school children and how many secondary school children would you feel comfortable, taking around the site, right? Because we think of, we're all thinking about health and safety. We're all thinking about our sites in terms of the sort of hazards around them, but actually, like, real life discovery around what those facilities do, I think is, to sort of demystifying them a little bit is part of the equation here.
Yeah, and also taking it to the higher level and kind of pushing these conversations forward and getting them out there, I think is so crucial as well. And we did obviously discuss the government's role in this, and I think that's an interesting thing to consider in terms of spreading that awareness.
Yeah.
How does Pulsant support its employees to fulfill their potential and achieve their career goals, and how important do you think this is?
Um, I mean, I think it's really important. So we do a lot of work to support our people. I talked a bit about our talent team that sits within our people organisation, and that really is about making sure we've got tailored development plans for people wherever they are in their career journey, whether the job that they're in is the one that they want to do for the rest of their career, or they want to move on, and making sure that we're supporting that, having regular coaching in place, but also for a lot of people access to formal qualifications is important. And as an organisation, we're very keen on encouraging internal mobility. I talked about the new data center managers earlier, but we have lots of other internal mobility, whether that's we just acquired a new site in Birmingham, and already one of our engineers in our Milton Keynes data center is going to move to a new role in our new Birmingham data center. We had somebody in one of our data centers here up in Edinburgh who moved across into a connectivity team. So making sure that whilst people might be on a data center site, and in some cases our sites are relatively remote from other sites, that people feel part of the business overall. They understand that the career opportunities exist throughout the organisation. I think that's really important for retention. I think it's important for engagement. I think people really thrive in a role if they can see where their future is.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And it was also something I think that was also mentioned at the roundtable. And also to kind of, I think, amending the adverts for these different roles as well, in terms of, like making these roles attractive to people as things develop, in terms of that sustainability aspect that was
Yeah,
mentioned. That's something that is such a huge focus now and really appeals to this kind of younger audience that are coming through, and the potential that's out there. Also the pay, and that's something that I don't think is often realized, is the sort of payment opportunities, and also career growth. That's a huge
yeah,
part of it as well, and also something that was quite heavily discussed, when we spoke about this previously. And I think kind of enforcing that and highlighting that within these job advertisements is just so important.
agreed.
How do you think data and infrastructure organizations should invest in future talent? Obviously, you have touched on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a Pulsant perspective, for sure, we will continue to invest in our early career program. So both in terms of graduates and apprentices, we've seen really enormous value from that, with previous intakes of apprentices moving into roles in our organisation. So that's definitely an area of investment that we will continue, and that I would encourage others to continue to do. I think the other area that I've talked about before is investment in mid-career transition. It's definitely an area again that we're looking at, and we've had some success with some specialist agencies in the past around that. But I think making that investment in how do people move from industries where they have really transferable skills that they can bring to data centers, but perhaps if they don't know the data center market or don't understand the data center industry, that can be a bit daunting, or they might be put off from applying for that. So I think that sort of investment is important. But I think again, what we talked about at the roundtable, and you've talked about a bit earlier, is that partnership between industry and government, particularly in terms of medium and long-term investment. I think is really critical to actually addressing the skills gap. And again, the way we talked about it, it isn't that there aren't enough people at different points in their career who could really add value in the data center industry, but it's about making those connections and making that actually work. And I think part of that is on us from an industry perspective, but it is about making education relevant to the roles of not just today, but actually tomorrow.
Yeah, I think just on that as well, what I keep seeing in terms of, different articles and things like that, is the fact that it isn't a skills shortage, it's
Yeah,
a labour shortage. Like, we don't have the people to necessarily fill, well, the awareness that,
yeah.
brings those people in and that sort of thing. But just out of interest, what do you think is the kind of, what do you think is the key hurdle for a lot of these organizations in terms of what's holding them back or preventing them from going into schools and doing these things? Do they have different priorities? Is it a time and resource issue? What do you think is the kind of hurdle there?
I think it's the same with every kind of industry where you have this sort of challenges. The ability to be able to focus on something that's actually quite long term in terms of getting the return on that investment. The problem shows up when you do what's when what's happening now is happening, where you see growth in the industry, and as that industry grows, the demand for those skills grow, and you say, oh goodness me, we don't have that skill set, we don't have the freedom of movement that used to exist for the European Union to kind of take advantage of that to fill that gap. And so we really do need to look at how we prioritize that. This is it's a relatively fully employed economy, comparatively. So on that basis, we do have to think about how we, in the medium term, create the interest and the connection for people to move into these jobs, which are, as you say, these are highly skilled jobs, and they have the opportunity to develop into highly skilled careers. But that thinking just has to be done.
I think also kind of just emphasizing the fact that this is critical national infrastructure is also a key part of the puzzle that a lot of people, again, don't realize. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for your thoughts and for talking to me today. It's always really insightful. And yeah, I didn't know if you had any kind of parting thoughts or anything that you wanted to add.
Oh, I mean, thank you very much. It was good to talk to you. Good to talk about this subject again. I think, as I said before, we have to, as an industry, deal with the fact that we are going to need more of these skills in the years to come. And I think certainly for me, that focus on the early career piece has been of real benefit to us in the organisation, and it's really good to see people of different generations working together, and kind of coming together and building those skills. And so I'd encourage any organisation that's thinking about doing that to make the step and do it. I think organisations need to move from a recruitment strategy to a talent strategy.
It's a really good point. Thank you. Great to finish on. Thank you so much.